Waiver wire pitchers part 1. And the first group includes Tobias Myers, who had 11 strikeouts against the Rockies this weekend. Jamison Tyone, who had a quality start up against the Yankees. Shane Baz, who also had a quality start at the Orioles. And Clark Schmidt, who pitched well in his return at the Cubs. 4 2/3 shutout innings. Only 2 strikeouts there. The matchups for this group, Schmidt gets the Red Sox. Shane Baz gets the Phillies. Jamison Tyone in Coors Field, yuck. And Tobias Myers is at the D-backs. To be honest, don't love any of these matchups.
Yeah, like that's Tobias Myers, huge start, 11 strikeouts. It was all in the fastball, basically. It was the Rockies on the road, and now he goes to Arizona to face one of the best lineups in baseball. I've been less interested in him than I think either of you, and I can't imagine either of you are particularly interested in him at Arizona. So
having already done the exercise of looking at every team's schedules for the rest of the season, I don't remember exactly how it plays out for these 4, but none of them made the list of pitchers I was picking up to stash beyond this upcoming week. So I think if we're going to talk about them, it's in terms of scouting for next year. And I do want to point out a couple things there if I could.
Mm-hmm.
Tobias Myers, obviously this was an unusually good start for him with the 11 strikeouts and a very favorable matchup. His fastball was up 1 mile per hour and he got 10 of his 19 whiffs on it, which the fastball had been a problem pitch for him, only a 17% whiff rate overall. We've wanted him to mix in the secondaries more. So that's just something to keep an eye on if he can throw it harder and it can be more effective. The other thing is I feel like Tobias Myers is kind of faded, but it's just the opposite, actually. His last 10 starts, he has a 2.25 ERA. So the numbers have actually been getting better, not worse with him, which I also thought was interesting. We'll see how he finishes out the season. And then the other one thing I wanted to bring up was Shane Baz, who faded his slider in this one, which is supposed to be his best pitch, but he's had trouble regaining the effectiveness on it. He threw it only, let's see here. He threw it not much at all, 8%. So a lot more curveballs, a lot more changeups, and he had a really good start, 15 swinging strikes against the Orioles lineup. Seems to be trending up overall, making some changes, trying some different things, but again, not ready to start Shane Baz with a matchup at the Phillies next time.
Waiver wire pitchers part 2. Kyle Gibson was great up against the Mariners. 6 2/3 shutout innings with 9 strikeouts and 18 whiffs. Andrew Heaney turned in a quality start against the Angels. 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 8 strikeouts, had 14 whiffs in that one. Frankie Montas, an impressive start also against the Rockies on the road. 6 innings, 3 runs, 10 strikeouts. 7 starts with the Brewers. He's been solid. 3.92 ERA and a 1.21 whip. And Dean Kramer was great up against Tampa Bay, 6 shutout innings with 7 strikeouts and 17 whiffs. If we're looking at the matchups for this group, Kramer is at the Red Sox, Montas is at the Giants, Andrew Heaney at the Mariners, and Kyle Gibson is at Toronto. I think Heaney and Montas probably stand out most in terms of matchups here.
Yeah, I think they're the only ones I would want to stream here.
Heaney is among my sleeper pitchers for next week.
All right. The next group includes Jose Quintana, who pitched really well up against the Reds, 6 2/3 shutout innings with 6 strikeouts and 13 whiffs. Matthew Boyd, famous last words. Guys looked good, man. And this time he was at
the White Sox this time, too.
Yes,
next up. Yeah.
I like
Dodgers. He does this against the Dodgers. What's he going to do to the White Sox? Probably give up 4 home runs.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But he is among my sleeper pitchers.
6 innings, 1 run, 6 strikeouts, 15 whiffs for Matthew Boyd, who again is at the White Sox this week. DJ Hurst threw 5 no-hit innings at the Pirates. He also had 5 strikeouts with 12 whiffs. He gets the Marlins this week. Obviously, great matchup. And Edward Cabrera was awesome on Sunday against the Phillies. 7 shutout innings with 6 strikeouts. He had 14 whiffs, and he's at the Nationals. So a couple names here who could be in play, maybe some deeper league stuff, but Cabrera at the Nationals, Hurst gets the Marlins, and then obviously we mentioned Boyd at the White Sox. I think all 3 of those could be in play.
Yeah, I think I like Boyd best, probably Hers after that. Cabrera, it's extremely Jeremy Renner in Avengers Endgame, where he's like in the rain and he like just murdered a bunch of gang members, and he's like, "Don't give me hope." That's how I want to believe, but my brain is too smart to let me believe it.
Chris, do you think of these scenarios beforehand, and then you're like,
off the top of the dome? This is just
that's pretty good.
You get these gems just improv'd, baby.
I really wasn't sure where you were going with there at first. Like Edward Cabrera murders what? What's going on?
Yeah. Murders your whip, more like, hey.
Well, he murdered that Phillies lineup here on Sundays.
I mean, like this is the thing. Like, if he could do this consistently, he'd be awesome. But we're several years into this whole experience, and I'm not gonna buy in. No.
I mean, case in point, you probably don't even remember this, listener, but he had a similar start on August 9th where he threw 7 shutout innings. And what happened in between?
I'm not exactly sure, but I wrote down last 8 starts for Cabrera, a 3.02 ERA and a 121 WHIP. So not great, but solid.
Yeah, sometimes looking at the box score is more revelatory. I mean, looking at the game log, I should say.
I will say, like, if I had any faith in DJ Hurt's ability to pitch deep into games, like, I think he's legitimately showing some very impressive skills. And I think as a sleeper for 2025, DJ Hurts is definitely in consideration. Since the start of July, he has a 2.65 ERA and a 2.89 FIP. The problem, he's averaging fewer than 5 innings per start.
Wow.
And it's a lot of like 85, 87, 77 pitch starts. So I think there's talent here, especially if he can keep the walks under control. But I don't think he's a fine streamer against Miami, but not someone to get excited about for the rest of the season.
That could be a workload management thing, but given that he really just has a fastball, it makes me wonder if they don't trust him a third time through the lineup, which would be a longer standing issue for hers.
A bunch of names who pitched well in deeper leagues could be out there. Not going to run through the lines, but I'll mention the names: Landon Knack, Jack Leiter, Davis Martin, Samuel Aldegari, Jacob Junis, and Kyle Freeland. All 6 of those pitched well this weekend. This is very deep league stuff, but any of those names stand out?
Well, Landon Knack, I think the velocity was up on everything. Obviously got a lot of strikeouts against a good lineup. Should have a rotation spot now with Clayton Kershaw being down, and is a fly ball pitcher. So you could see him, if home runs don't get the better of him, you could see him being pretty good in terms of hit prevention. So I have some low level interest in Landon Knack. I picked him up in an NL only league.
I'm very interested in Jack Leiter. I don't know if that interest is ever going to amount to anything, but he is clearly super talented. He had 20 whiffs in this start, more than any other pitcher this weekend. 12 of them on the fastball. That pitch, when he's got it going, is massive for him. And I don't think he's that close to putting it together yet. And so it's more of a, let's see what the next couple of starts are for 2025. Although I'm not sure he's going to have a rotation spot in 2025, given DeGrom coming back, Kumar Rocker knocking on the door.
But they should just go old and young. It should be like DeGrom, Scherzer, Rocker, Leiter,
Bradford.
And Cody Bradford's awesome. And Evaldi, I think.
It's a legitimate crunch. I don't think Kumar Rocker is going to make the opening day rotation next year, but Leiter, I think, is a really interesting talent, and I would love to see him go on a run here. It's just, if you're in a 12-team points league, there's zero chance you could start him this week, even with one of the best matchups for a strikeout pitcher at Seattle. Yeah.
I think if you're chasing strikeouts and you just whatever, your ratios are in the dumps anyway, you could go for it. Jack Leiter at the Mariners, and maybe you get a win out of it too. So, but I could see lots of strikeouts there against the Mariners for Jack Leiter.